What's up, guys, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Emma, the newest film from director Autumn D. Wilde, and is based off the very famous novel by Jane Austen. Before we begin, please hit that subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and comment below on any video that you watch on my channel. So the story of Emma is a very well-known, well-versed, very popular story based from Jane Austen's book. It's been adapted several times. There was a very popular Gwyneth Paltrow movie that came out a few years back. And then, of course, it's had some other adaptations. But it's a very interesting, fun story because it's about a woman who kind of has to understand that what she says and how she says it affects the people around her, especially somebody that's in a wealthier position, a position of more power than most people are. And the way she treats people and the way she acts, it's a very traditional story of do what you say, but what you say can affect other people. And I kind of like that. And so I'll be fairly honest, I've never read the books, I've never seen any of the movies, so I'm kind of going into this blind. And at first when I'm watching this movie, I'm like, this is really traditional, this is really kind of slow, and it's a burn, and it's not really catching me. And then all of a sudden these characters, you know, the Anya Taylor-Joy character and the Mia Goth character and the Johnny Flynn character and even the Bill Nighy character, which I already love Bill Nighy to begin with, they start to kind of grow on you because the way that this script plays out, the way it's pushing itself forward, it has so much whimsical nature to it. It has so much comedy to it, but it has a serious tone to it about how you treat people and how you want to be treated that you start to become enraptured by it. This movie is really fun. It's really kind of exciting. It's really just kind of whimsical in its feel and nature, and I just kind of give it a lot of credit for that. You know, this movie, it could be a serious bore, and a lot of people it will be boring to because it's not a very, you know, fast-paced movie. It's not a very actiony movie. It's a movie about characters who kind of play off one another in a very old-fashioned style of filmmaking. And I love what Autumn D. Wilde is doing here. I just really do. And the story of Emma, as most people know, is about a very vain woman, a very precocious, not really she's kind of uptight in a lot of ways, but she is well off. Her father is played by Bill Nighy. He's a guy that, you know, can't really live on his own because he has a lot of eccentricities and stuff like that. And she is living there. She doesn't want to get married. She doesn't want anything to do with men at this point. And she has a friend who is played by Mia Goth, who plays Harriet Smith. And Mia Goth almost literally steals this movie outside of another character. She is so good. She's very precocious. She's very young. She loves every guy she comes around. There's this character who is played by Connor Swindells, who plays Mr. Martin, and she becomes infatuated with him. He's another character that is very just kind of in the background. You don't see a lot of him, but when you see him, he's a really kind of gentle soul of a character. But Emma, being the vain character that she is, the way she meddles in people, you know, even though it's good intentions, she kind of pushes the characters away. And, you know, the Mia Goth character starts falling in love with other characters. And then you see the Callum Swindells character just kind of moping around the whole time. That's this movie in a nutshell. We have a character named Mr. Knightley, who is played by Johnny Flynn, and he's the main lead actor in this movie. And he's the guy that is very straightforward with what he's saying. He's very in your face. He kind of keeps Emma's character in check, but he is a guy that doesn't put up with her and doesn't put up with the fact that how she treats people. And he's slowly kind of inching his way into her life. There's an attraction there, even though they're not brother and sister, but they have that brother and sister relationship. And because they're not related, it doesn't feel weird, but you kind of see where it's going. People like that, you know, will end up being together at the end, but at this point they're kind of focusing, the flames starting to kind of move up and stuff like that. But I just kind of love this movie for what it's doing. I love the material in this. We have characters who are just fascinating to watch. We have a character who is played by Miranda Hart, who plays Mrs. Bates. And if you remember the movie Spy with Melissa McCarthy, she plays her Melissa McCarthy's friend, who's kind of like the undercover agent who kind of speaks through the van and stuff like that. She is a very unwealthy person. She's a poor woman, and she is very fun to listen to. She has a lot of great stories, but because of the nature of the Emma character, how she kind of acts towards Mrs. Bates, it really kind of shows that she needs to learn. She is going to have an eventual arc that's going to lead into some kind of dark territory. But like Mia Goth, Miranda Hart almost steals this movie, and she is just fun to watch. Whenever she pops up, it's funny, it's entertaining. Yeah, her stories are bland and boring, but that's her character. She's the character that kind of puts, the Emma character in check. And then, of course, we have the other men characters, the other relationship characters, and they're also a lot of fun. We have Callum Turner, who plays Churchill, and he is kind of the love interest that will never be the love interest for Emma, but he is well off, and he is, trying to kind of push his way into Emma's life, but she is not seeing him for, who he really is, which is kind of a backstabber in a lot of ways, because there's this character played by Amber Anderson who plays Fairfax, and she's kind of like the rival to the the Anya Taylor-Joy's character, and they clash through a lot of this movie because the Fairfax character is she's also poor, and she's the niece of the Mrs. Banks character. So just to watch how they kind of bleed into Emma's life is a lot of fun to watch. And we have Josh O'Connor, who's playing Mr. Elton. And once again, it's another character that almost kind of steals the movie because he's slimy in nature. You think he's going after one woman, but he's going after another woman. And he's the priest of the whole town that this movie is set in. But he is a guy that is just really kind of strange to watch and really kind of over the top, but his sliminess, his snarkiness kind of starts, kind of bleeding through in the movie into his eventual conclusion of just being who he is and how he plays out and so on and so forth. But that's just kind of the movie in a nutshell. There's a lot of moving parts in this movie. There's a lot of people that I'm not going to talk about because there's just so many different actors and actresses that are doing great material in here, and they play their parts. But the whole idea of this movie is to see a woman who has one ideology and one way of thinking and how she acts towards people, because the way she acts in the beginning of this movie to the eventual conclusion, how she acts at the end of this movie, is like a 180. And it doesn't say she becomes perfect at the end, but her realization that she is affecting the people that truly look up to her, that's a very good, interesting story. And that's a very interesting perspective to put out into the world, because when you treat people in bad light or bad nature, it will come back to bite you in the ass. It really will. And that's what this story is trying to show you, while giving you some entertainment, while giving you some really cool visuals and so on and so forth. And like I said, Bill Nighy's in this movie, and he's more of just the audience surrogate in a lot of ways, because when the story is playing out, when you see Bill Nighy, he's just literally reacting to everything. And Bill Nighy's very good at not really talking, but just reacting to the scenes at hand. So, when his daughter gets married, he's like, "This is the worst day ever." Or when he is just sitting in his room and, the Emma character's in the room as well, and other people in the room, just to see his reactions to every single character in the room and how they're playing out. And just to see how Bill Nighy is doing it. It's a lot of fun to watch. And it just gives the comedy that it needs and the enjoyment that it needs, and the Bill Nighy. And every time Bill Nighy's in a movie, you just automatically love him for the movie that he's in. So he's fantastic in the role. But like I said, Anya Taylor-Joy, this is her movie, and she is pretty much Anya Taylor-Joy. She's doing exactly what you expect of her, which is awesome work. To see her transformation throughout this movie is fantastic. To see how she plays against, all the characters in this movie is fantastic. And I have a great affinity for what Anya Taylor-Joy is doing in these movies that she's in. I mean, just look at movies like Split and Glass and Thoroughbreds and the Witch and stuff like that. It's a very interesting career, and she's going to be in New Mutants as well. And I love it. I just think she's a great actress. And on top of that, like I said, Wilde is doing fantastic work here. So I also got to give credit to the cinematographer of this movie, Christopher Blabell. This is a gorgeous looking movie. Every shot in this movie is just immaculate. It has a lot of interesting feels to it, where it looks a lot like The King's Speech and, of course, The Favorite. And the fact that all the shots are really wide, you get to see the nice vistas when they're in the palaces. You get to see the stuff on the walls, and you see the characters, and they're like very small against the very gigantic backgrounds. And that's creating mood, and that's creating like kind of an isolation feel to these characters who are in these gigantic spaces. So you kind of feel like the shallowness of, the Emma character because of how it's shot. And then, like, for instance, when they're walking, you follow right behind them. So it's a very, very classic feel. It's a very like almost like cathartic feel, but it's a very interesting, cool look to a movie. And it just looks beautiful, even in like the 4K mode. It pops, all the colors pop, all the costumes pop, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. I hope it actually gets a at least a best cinematography Oscar nomination, maybe some costume design and stuff like that. And I also have to give credit to the composers, which is David Schweitzer and Isabella Waller-Bridge, which is of course Phoebe Waller-Bridge's sister. They do some fantastic work here. The mood that they set with their music is fantastic. It's very whimsical as well. It's very, kind of like giving its comedic feel to it, but it feels of its time, of its era, and it's really fun to watch and listen to. And I've always said music can set a tone of a movie. It can give it a very dark, ominous feel, even though the movie's the same movie, or it can give it a very whimsical, comedic feel, which that's what this movie does. This fits in between like Amadeus and, like I said, The Favorite and what it's trying to do. So they do a really nice job here. So, but that's it. That's going to be my take on Emma. Like I said, I think it's a great film. It's not going to be for everyone because it is a very traditional, old school style film where not a lot happens. It's more of a kind of a character piece and stuff like that. So that'll do it. That'll be my take on this new rendition of Emma. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Emma. What you think of the book. Let me know if this fits in the same mode as the other movies. If this feels closer to the book or whatnot. Just kind of let me know. But otherwise, thank you so much. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and comment below on any video that you watch on my channel. Otherwise, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these 2 videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.